Hello everyone, it's Carol Baskin at Big Cat Rescue, and I'm here with Joseph the Lion. And I'm going to see if I can get him a little bit closer for you there. I need to make sure everybody can hear me. So a lot of you have been asking me to come out here and do a live chat with Joseph the Lion, and it's really hard to do because Joseph is not tolerant of fools. So he is not usually very happy to have me anywhere near his cage. I am not somebody who feeds him or cleans him, and so the only time he ever sees me usually means there's a vet visit or I'm just walking by on the tour path, keeping my good safe distance from him. So I am behind the barricade with him, and I have the iPhone zoomed in as close as I can through the wire so that you guys can see a good shot of his beautiful face. Esme, the fact that he sticks his tongue out is really kind of sad, because the place that he was rescued from, the lady was using them for people to pay to have their pictures made with the cubs. And as the cubs got older, what she did was she put collars on the cats and then chained them down with very short chains to the ground so that people could sit on the cats' backs and still have their pictures made, because that's what people want. They want their selfies and their pictures of themselves with the cats, and that always ends up badly for the cats. So a bunch of people started getting hurt there, and what she did to try and minimize the chances of being sued was she declawed all of the cats there, front and back, and she defanged everybody except for Joseph. And Joseph was the youngest of the cats. So all the other cats, because they had no canine teeth, their tongues all hung out all the time. And because he was the youngest and he was a lion, the others were, there was one other lion and the other guys were all tigers. He wanted to be like everybody else in his pride, and so he walked around with his tongue hanging out too. So when we see it, we're kind of reminded of that sad beginning that he had, but it is kind of cute, you got to admit. Yes, he is one handsome boy. And it would be so awesome if he would roar for us. It'd probably blow me and my camera right away if he does so, because we're standing about 3 feet from the cage right now. Wednesdays are the days that we have our staff meeting here at Big Cat Rescue. And all of our animal care is done by volunteers and interns, and the only paid staff are doing administrative type things. So we're all get together every Wednesday to discuss all that boring stuff that goes on behind the scenes to try and keep a place like this running. Rebecca, nothing happened. It's hot. It's 91 degrees, so he's just trying to sleep, except I'm standing in front of him talking. One of the interesting things we talked about this morning, that's a helicopter going overhead, was the idea of maybe having a very short 1 week long volunteer program. And we have so many people who say, man, I would just love to come volunteer there, or I'd love to be an intern there, but I can't dedicate for an intern 3 whole months of their life, or as a volunteer 4 hours every single week for the rest of their life. So what we've been trying to come up with is, how could we create a program where people could actually come out for a vacation to Florida and be a volunteer. Yes, Jockey, I would love to hear his roar too. So one of the things that we had decided was, if we were going to have people come out for just a week, we needed to make sure that these people were really well trained. And our training program takes many, many months here at the sanctuary. There's 50 different classes that you have to take in order to become a volunteer or an intern. And usually those are taken over a long course of time. So like people who start here start out as red shirts. They work for 4 hours per week. And for 6 months, they do red shirt type things, working with the smaller cats. And then they take all their classes. They can graduate up to yellow. Yellow shirts have to put in 6 hours a week, and then they take classes and training for the next year and a half before they can graduate to a green shirt. And the green shirts are the ones who can take care of lions, tigers, and leopards because they're so dangerous. So by the time you get to green shirt, you've already been here 2 years, and we know that you're going to act safely around the smaller cats. So we've been trying to figure out, well, if we did a 1-week volunteer program, how on earth would those people possibly get trained well enough to be able to do anything? And of course, they're not going to be able to work with lions and tigers on a 1-week vacation. But what we did do was we said, we've got this source that we have set up called Zoo College. It's at zoocollege.com. No, I can't pronounce your name, Porfirio. He's not sedated. He's just sleepy, because lions sleep 20 out of 24 hours a day. Carol, that's funny. Red shirts always die on Star Trek. I don't watch Star Trek, so I didn't realize that. Maybe we need a different shirt color. We set it up like a stoplight. So red is like stop. You can't do anything by yourself. You have to constantly be with somebody to make sure that you're going to be safe. Yellow is cautionary. They can work with cats up to the size of a cougar. And then green, of course, is go. They can go anywhere on the property. There must be an accident over there on the expressway, because the helicopters are just circling over there next to the expressway, and it's really loud coming across that lake, so I apologize for the racket. So we decided, all right, well, the way we will screen people for this opportunity would be to have them go through Zoo College, and they can do that for $9 a month. They can take all the same classes that our people take, and if they pass all of the classes in Zoo College, then they could qualify to possibly be one of the people who could do this 1-week vacation at Big Cat Rescue. Sydney, there is an age limit. You have to be 18 years old to be a volunteer here. We do have a junior program for juniors that are 16 to 18. If you go to our website, bigcatrescue.org, up at the top there's a button that says Get Involved. And so if you click that, he's doing a really cute stretch, if I can zoom back out here. Airing out your belly there? The junior program is much more structured and much more difficult to get into because it requires somebody constantly being with you. But Babs Riddle is one of our volunteers, and she does do that for people in that age bracket. So if you go to that page where it says Get Involved, there'll be information on our intern program, our volunteer program, and our junior program as well. Well, thank you, Joan. Thank you for visiting and bringing your whole family. Maybe I should just do this at a later time, because this helicopter is really annoying. Anyway, we've been trying to decide how much would we charge for something like that, because to have somebody here for a week, they're going to have to take all those classes on Zoo College, but still we need somebody to make sure they're going to be safe while they're here. And so we figured if somebody was doing like a private tour here, which is where you can go see any of the cats you want to go see, you can spend as much time photographing them as you want to spend, but you have to pay a tour guide to be with you because you're taking them away from their regular work. We charge $125 an hour for that. So if you figured a 5-day work week, I think of 8 hours a day, and it's actually more hours a day that you would be volunteering, that would be $5,000 that we could be earning in private tours that we would not be earning if somebody came for a 1-week vacation as a volunteer. So we really struggled with that because we didn't want to make it so expensive that no one could afford to come, and yet we can't make it so cheap that it's a huge burden for our staff. Goodness. I'm so sorry. Olivia, this is Joseph the lion, and if you go to bigcatrescue.org/Joseph, you can read all about him. Denise, there's nothing wrong with him. It's just hot, and he's sleepy, so he's just laying here. And I am very thankful that he is being so calm, because I can actually talk to you guys. If he were being all angry and jumping at the fence, I wouldn't be able to stand here and let you get a look at him. And you're right, it is hot. Bam, or whoever said that, Stephanie. It's 91 degrees here in Tampa right now, so it's just crazy hot and humid. And our first 1 week volunteer program will be in September, so it'll be a little bit cooler, but not by a whole lot. Yes, Christy, Joseph is just napping. Oh, I hear tigers roaring. Well, one roar, and then nothing more. So you guys tell me, if you were coming to be a volunteer for a week, and you know you're not going to be able to actually feed or clean any of the big cats in that period of time, but you would be able to accompany our volunteers when they go out and do that, are there any parts of what we do here that you would want to be sure that we included, like enrichment or operant conditioning? Would you guys be interested in helping make the enrichment on Wednesday nights? If you guys see those presentations that we do on Tuesday nights, would that be something that you'd enjoy doing? Christopher, I do not know what he weighs. I have a chart on my phone, but I can't open it while I'm live casting. My guess would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 350. He's a skinny little butt. It's a skinny little lion. Feli, the nutrition that we give these guys is they are fed every day, which is unusual. Most places do not feed every day, but 27 of our cats are over the age of 20, which is just ridiculously old. They usually only live to be 10 or 12. Excuse my coughing. Don't smoke. Man, if you smoke now, just quit it. Quit it right now, or you'll be coughing like me when you're in your 50s, and you won't be able to talk for 5 minutes without coughing. So we feed every single day. We feed 500 pounds of raw meat a day, and that raw meat involves a ground-up diet of beef that has all of the vitamins and minerals mixed in it. It has chunks of beef, and it has like chicken leg quarters and chicken legs. And 2 days a week they get whole rats and whole rabbits. A cat like Joseph will eat anywhere from 10 to 20 pounds a day. You notice him opening his eyes. He's like, food? Is somebody talking about food? No, you cannot snuggle with him. We have a strictly hands-off policy here. We don't touch the cats because it's dangerous. They could pull your whole body through that 4-inch wire of the cage wall. And it's just rude. In the wild, a wild cat would never let us come anywhere near touching them, and so we're not going to impose ourselves on them because they're stuck in cages. Kim, we are fortunate that Florida weather is very similar to the types of weather where most of our cats come from. We've had snow leopards in the past, and they had air-conditioned dens. Currently, we have 2 Canada lynx that use those air-conditioned dens, but most of the other cats come from areas that are very similar in temperatures to what we have here. Carolyn, all different shirt colors can prep the food, so that would be something that a 1-week volunteer would be able to do, is to help with the food preparation, because the cats aren't in food prep. So you'd be able to actually help cut it up and get it ready for them, and it takes a couple of hours to get all of that done every day. Because so many of our cats are elderly, you have to prepare a lot of special diets for cats who are missing teeth, or cats who have arthritis, or cats who have different medical issues that require them to have their own special bucket made up every day. So it's a couple of hours of a lot of work making sure everything is exactly right when they go out and feed in the mornings. You're right, Leyland. Joseph would have me as a snack. Well, Stephanie, I wish you lived closer too. You know, a lot of people ask us about how the cats feel about not being petted here when they came here as previous pets. And so we actually created a page about that called Don't They Miss Being Petted? And no, they don't miss it. It's something that people impose on them because we want to touch the wild, but it's not something that they seek out. A lot of times you'll see cats being very solicitous of their owners at these horrible places, but it's because they want to be fed. They want nice conditions. You know, they're having to beg for everything they get. And when cats like Joseph get everything they want, they don't come begging from somebody like me for it. Kelly, you're going to have to blow him a kiss because I am not going to kiss him. Christopher, the male lions start getting like little tufts of mane when they're about a year old. And by the time they're 3 years old, it starts to start looking like a mane. Just more of those little tufts. I'd say probably by the time they're 5 is when they have a full mane. Joseph has some medical issues that cause him to either do really well or really poorly. Right now he's in a doing really well stage, but he can have some really horrible down cycles. And for some reason, whenever he goes into one of those downward spirals, he loses all of his mane. And then when he starts feeling better, it all starts coming back again. So right now he's got about a half a mane coming in. And believe me, he's been tested for everything and treated for everything you can imagine, and the vets just cannot figure out what is up with him to keep him constantly in this good state that he's in right now. Can you guys hear that in the background? That's Hoover roaring. Did everybody lose audio or just Christy? I don't remember, Olivia, when he first arrived. He's been here a long time. If you go to bigcatrescue.org/Joseph, it'll tell you his date of birth and the date of his arrival. Yes, Amanda, if you neuter a male lion, they lose that mane. So Cameron, our other male lion, we originally did a vasectomy so that he could stay with his mate, and that does not cause them to lose their mane because it's testosterone driven, and a vasectomy doesn't do anything to a male's testosterone. But he was so aggressive and wouldn't let us clean the cage or get anywhere near Zabu. So we went ahead and neutered him, and when you neuter a male, they do lose their mane. So Cameron no longer has a mane, but he's a very happy lion, which makes it all worth it. No, Joseph's not sick. He's doing quite well right now. He's just sleepy because it's hot. Well, thank you, Gabriella. Thank you for all the hearts, everybody, and the happy faces and the likes. Those are all so sweet. I wish the cats could see those. Thank you, Joanna. It really is a blessing to be able to spend time with these guys, but I got to tell you, my happiest day will be the day that there is not another cat in a cage. I just hate that these guys are kept in cages, and there's just no way around that, because when they're born in captivity, they can never go free. As much as I would love for them to be able to go free. Eston, his diet, he eats 7 days a week. His primary diet is, here we're talking about food and his eyes are opening again. His primary diet is a ground beef diet that has all his vitamins and minerals mixed in. We get that from a place called AAA brand in Colorado. And then he gets chunks of beef and chunks of chicken, and 2 days a week he gets whole rats and whole rabbits. And those are bred for the snake industry, and they arrive frozen, so we have to defrost them for them. If I roll over, will you just go away, lady? Okay, so Paul, all of our tigers and lions, except for Nikita, have a pool, but lions hate water, so they don't go in the water to cool down. We do give everybody popsicles that are made out of blood, so we call them bloodsickles or sardini martinis, and that helps cool them down. Plus, it helps so many of our elderly cats get the fluids that they need. For our smaller cats, we have those little blue plastic kiddie pools that we can drag around from cage to cage. They don't usually last very long, though, because cats love to bite holes in them. We have sprinklers on top of the cages, and so if it were like unbearably hot, we would turn on the sprinklers, but that's not usually how we deal with the heat, because there's no point in just making a hot, wet cat. If they were, in danger of dying or something, then we would do that, but that's not been the case. Cassandra Joseph arrived here with a girlfriend named Sasha, but she died several years ago, so he is by himself. Oh, and look who's out. I see Hoover out in the vacation rotation area. We have a 2.5 acre vacation rotation enclosure, and all of our lions and tigers go for 2-week vacations. So right now is Hoover's vacation. Tomorrow is Thursday. That'll be the last day of his vacation. Can you guys hear him roaring? The Texas Tigers will be the next ones to go on vacation. Where did he go? Hoover! Where are you, buddy? We have these wonderful live cameras at explore.org, and if you go there, go to explore.org and /Big Cat Rescue. You can watch him 24/7, or whoever is on vacation, 24/7 through those live cams. Carolyn, the best time to watch them, the vacation rotation has 2 cameras, so one of them is poised right out there in the cage with them, and I think the best time to see them is like early morning, late evening, when it's cooler and yet you still have enough light to really see them. And then there's also a second camera. It's called the feeding station. If you look in the tabs underneath the main screen for the vacation rotation, you'll see something called a feeding station. Between 8 and 9 o'clock a.m. every day, Eastern time, that's when the cats get fed. So you actually get to watch the cats being fed, which is very cool. Harriet, they roar to let others know that they're in the area, and people say that when lions roar, they're roaring to tell everybody, everything you see for as far as you can see, it's mine, mine, all mine. I don't think tigers are quite as possessive as lions, but I think they're letting everybody know this is my space, and if there's any cute girls in the area, I would just love for them to trot on by. But we don't do any breeding here, so that's not going to happen. Sue, when they're on vacation, they have the 2.5 acre enclosure here that you see all to themselves. So they've got dens and platforms, and they have a pond And usually that fountain goes a lot higher into the air, but it's been raining so much that the water is up very high and it's over the top of the spout for the fountain, so it's barely able to pass through the water. Ooh, Hoover's on the move again. Roxandra, I don't know if Hoover has gained weight or not. We have not, I don't think we've had the opportunity to have him on the scales since he got here. I could be wrong about that, though. We might have weighed him when we moved him over to vacation. If we didn't, we definitely should. This is the sign thanking the people who donated the money for this enclosure. That is a disappearing cat. I tell you what, people on Explorer are always talking about how they're following him and then poof, he's just gone. Regular Houdini. Kim, tomorrow will be the end of 2 weeks for Hoover out in the vacation area, but he has been really curious about it and has checked it out a lot. Lauren, the normal enclosures for the cats here are much larger than what you would see at other zoos and most other sanctuaries. Our tiger cages start at 1,800 square feet, which is a lot bigger than my house, and our bobcat cages and serval cages start at 1,200 square feet, which is the size of my house, and that's per cat. Sean, none of them climb trees, thankfully. The trees are all set far enough away from the fence. It's kind of hard to tell sometimes from the angle I may be at, but all right, where is he now? But thankfully none of them are big tree climbers. None that go in this cage. Only lions and tigers go out here in this cage. We have a 22,000 square foot vacation area for our smaller cats, and those guys have a roof on their cage. Marilee, we have 3 lions here. Joseph, who you just saw. Nikita Lion, who absolutely hates every other cat here, so she has to be kept where she can't see other cats, or she'll just spend all of her time trying to tear the cage down. And then Cameron, and he's a male lion who lives with a female tigress named Zabu. Looks like Hoover is heading over to his roofed area. Anywhere that we have an open air cage like this, they also have a roofed area, and that's so that if the winds get over 30 miles an hour, like they would in a hurricane, that we can lock them in that roofed area so that they don't escape if a tree goes down. Okay, well, I'm about to wrap this up. I got to go back and shut the gate where I was standing over by Joseph. Sorry about all the helicopter noise. Thank you very much for joining us today, though. Any last questions before I wrap this up? Yes, Stephanie, we have an emergency routine. If you go to bigcatrescue.org and type into the search bar disaster plan, you'll see our entire plan. I am not inside the cage. There is wire between me and that cat. I am on the inside of the barricade. All of our cages have a barricade around them so that tour guests can't accidentally run up to a cat and get hurt. If anybody is curious about our cages, it's really hard to tell how big they are because, like, this is the front that faces the tour path. The tour path is out there, and so it goes back there, and then it goes back to the lake, and then I don't know if you can see back behind the den, there's another, it's like an L-shaped cage, so there's a big tiger stripe barn there, and that cage goes all the way to the far end of that barn, which is like another 60 feet, I think. And then if you see where there's like two cages down there and there's a tunnel in between, that connects it to this cage over here. Sorry, I keep tripping over all of the wires I've got wrapped around my feet. So there's another big two-part cage here, and then there's another one just like this on the other side. So he's got three of these. Joseph has three of these that are all hooked together, which gives him about... Okay, I've gotten as close as he wants me to get. I'll move back a little bit. He's got three of these, so it's like over 3,600 square feet, closer to 4,000, I think. I think Joseph's just too hot to really take me on, but he let me know that I got a little too close, and I'm probably actually about 15 feet from him, and that's about as close as he wants me to be. In fact, he's still making that little snarly sound, so let me back up a little more. Yes, Kitty, he was growling. I stepped into his personal space, and he did not appreciate that. Kimberly's right. We are a sanctuary. We don't breed. We don't believe these cats belong in cages, period. And so if you guys want to help us make sure that none of these cats end up being bred for life in cages, please, 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 please go to bigcatact.com and contact your legislator. We make it really easy with an email there that you can send asking them to support the Big Cat Act, which would ban the private possession of these animals. And when you do that, it'll bring up a field on your screen that has your legislator's phone number. If you would also call them, oh man, that makes such a huge, huge difference to call them and ask them to champion the Big Cat Act. They'll know what it is. It's the Big Cat Public Safety Act. We've got over 70 co-sponsors, and what that bill would do is end the private possession of these animals so that they don't end up being exploited as cubs and then discarded and end up having to be rescued by sanctuaries. Joseph does like some volunteers. I'm just not one of them. The cats really like the volunteers who feed them. So in order to feed a cat like Joseph, you got to be a green shirt, which means you've been with us for more than 2 years and you're really smart and well educated around the cats. But the cats all have a lot of favorite keepers who feed them or give them treats. Thank you, Liz. You know, it really takes seeing this place to understand it. So many people, when you tell them about it, they just think zoo, and it's nothing like a zoo. We don't believe these animals belong in zoos. No, Alice, we have a no-touch policy here. If anybody, including me, gets caught petting a cat through the wire or reaching any part of our body in there to touch a cat, we are thrown out of the program and never allowed back on the property because it's dangerous. And if somebody got bit or scratched, the CDC, Center for Disease Control, could insist that we cut the cat's head off and test for rabies. The reason for that is because there's no known vaccine against rabies in big cats. We use the regular cat vaccine for rabies on our cats, but there's never been any testing done to know whether or not it's effective. So we would never want to put the cat in a position where they might get killed because we did something stupid. And it's just rude. These cats would never allow us to touch them in the wild. So for us to impose our will on them because we want to touch the wild is just plain rude. I don't think I'm seeing Chandra here in the comments now. I'll have to go back through the comments and see what was happening there, because I'm not sure. I don't see all of these as they come across because they happen pretty fast. No, Nicole, we're not going to cut his head off. I was just saying that's what would happen if one of these cats bit a person, that we could be forced to do that, and we would never want to put the cats in a position of doing something like that. We wrote an article about why none of these cats can go back to the wild. That's such a huge misconception. At least every day, several people will ask me, why can't you just set them free? And we wrote a page at bigcatrescue.org/go free. And the reason is, well, there's lots of reasons why they can't go free. One is that they're not native to this country for the most part. So you couldn't set a lion or a tiger loose in America. And two, they have to be raised by their mothers for many years for them to be able to learn everything they need to know about surviving in the wild. And none of these cats in captivity were raised by their mothers. They were all raised by people, because the main reason that cats end up being exploited and abused is that people will pay to have their pictures made with a cub. And as long as people will pay to touch the cubs or to see cubs in cages, there are bad people who will breed them and use them and then discard them. So the very first thing we have to do is stop the cub handling, and that will stop the private possession, because most people don't go out looking to buy a lion or a tiger. They get them for free when the bad guys can't use them as photo props any longer.